Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Don't you want to sound rich?
Welcome to episode 15 of the show exclusively about AEW and all things elite. Welcome to All Things Elite. I am your host, Floyd Johnson, and with me is as bi-weekly, with me is Miss Amy Euler. How you doing, Amy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Floyd?
I am doing well. I am super excited as we are less than a week until I leave for Vegas, and I think you'll be there. I mean, you'll be there on Thursday also, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to meet up. We're going to hang out. We're going to hang with evening with Cody and the Bucks, and then jam out with Frankie and Matt.
Dude, I am so excited. They did the flash sale today, and it was a little dangerous for me because I got click happy. I got super click happy. You know, they did the 50% off the all you can drink.
No.
I was like, what? Click, yes. Yes. I'm like, I don't even know. I was like, I don't even plan on just like drinking like that. But you're saying for like $20 I can drink all I want to? Yes.
See, now you have the option.
Yes.
Like, you may not, but you totally can.
Yes. I was like, oh man. And then they did 50% off the breakfast with the superstars. I was like, yes. I'm like, why not? And that's how it was. It was just, as I was going down the list, I kept just saying, why not? Why not? Why not? And it's, yeah. So I have like 25 meet and greets for next week.
That is amazing. You are going to have an incredible time at Starrcast.
I am so overbooked. I love it though. Looking forward to it. I've been wanting to meet LAX for a long time. They're one of my favorite tag teams. I'm hoping at some point in time they can make the old jump to AEW. But yeah, I really love them as a tag team.
Man, that is brilliant. That is so great that they had so many things on sale for their flash sale.
Yeah.
How many things did you end up getting? Like, how many meet and greets? You said you have 25 meet and greets?
Yeah, 25 meet and greets. When I went to the Eventbrite, it tells you like how many total tickets you have, and it's like 31.
Wow. Dude, you are going to make the most out of... How long are you there? 5 days? 4 days?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Thursday to Monday, so 5 days.
Yeah, there you go, man. It's like 6 events a day.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy because Saturday, because of Double or Nothing, they're only open like 3 hours, and then it's showtime, and then there's the after party or whatever. So I'm just going to take it in, try to meet as many wrestlers and try to meet as many people as I got. There's a lot of new people. I did take advantage of meeting a lot of new people that are on the list, like Kip Sabian, Nyla Rose, those type of people that I hadn't I've never met before. I just wanted to, immerse myself to a point and just meet everyone I hadn't met before.
Oh, that's going to be so fun. And Kip Sabian's great, too. He's such a Harry Potter nerd. I love that.
Yes. I saw the moves that you put up there. His moves are Harry Potter based, and I'm like, oh, you got me. I'm a fan. So that works for me. But as always, want to start this show by reminding you and everyone else this episode of All Things Elite is brought to you by Power Slam TV. Power Slam TV is where you get access to over 4,000 hours of content from over 110 of your favorite wrestling brands from countries all around the globe right onto your laptop and mobile device. If you use the code Social Suplex when you sign up, you get the first month free. So definitely try out Power Slam TV.
Heck yeah. All right. So we have a packed show today because this last week has been absolutely packed with news from All Elite Wrestling. I think we should totally take off here with the biggest news of the week and indeed the biggest news for All Elite Wrestling. And that is their TV deal. This has been much anticipated. People have been waiting for it. People have been wondering about it. People have been asking in excitement and in criticism, hey, are they going to have a TV deal? And of course they are. And we have heard that they are going to be working with Turner through Warner Media, which is huge. They are going to be on TNT. They're going to have a weekly show starting in fall. I believe it's going to be in October. And along with that, they also announced their pay-per-view packages, which would be available internationally on Fight.com through Fight TV, as well as ITV4 and Bleacher Report's BR Live, which is also through Turner and Warner Media. This is insane. What did you think about hearing really this confirmation? Because this is something people have been speculating about for a while, that they would be working with TNT. And not to mention, there's a lot of history with TNT and wrestling. Now, of course, there's been a lot of changes in ownership and style since the days of WCW. But when we think about lineage and history, that certainly makes a big splash. Even though it's a huge channel with a huge distribution network on its own, you can't help but think about that and how exciting that is going forward to have that kind of history wrapped up in it. What did you think about this, Floyd?
This was amazing news. I actually saw the link right before I went to sleep. As everyone knows, I've brought up plenty of times, I sleep during the day. And it caught me right before I went to sleep. And I did not sleep well that day because it was crazy. TNT is, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. It is in numbers of homes. It's in over 95 million homes. 95 million people will have access to watch TNT. 95 million people will have access to watch AEW and see it from the beginning. Like, I know I'm only using this as an example. I'm not talking crap about them. I'm just talking to people that I've dealt with trying to get into WWE and the rich history of WWE. Sometimes you can feel a little lost in it because WWE's history is, even if you go back to the Attitude Era, is 20 years. Well, you get to jump in on the ground level of a company. AEW will have only run like 3 shows before it debuts on TV. So you get to jump in. You get to be the geek. You get to be the know-it-all from the very beginning of AEW. That's just welcoming, and it's just, man, I'm excited about it.
Oh, man, me too. And the thing that I love about it, too, is that TNT is available on every basic cable package. So my mother, my grandmother, everybody would have access to be able to watch this. It's not something that's going to be difficult to come by. Any streaming package that has a basic cable network situation structured through it, of course, basic cable on television. This is a really big deal. And I think it also shows that since this has been rumored for quite some time, this is something that they have been working with as a corporate level for a very long time. And it also looks like they're going to have, advertiser revenue, which means that they're going to be thinking about their advertisers. We're going to see advertisements for All Elite Wrestling when we're watching basketball games. That's crazy to me. That's just insane and super cool. But it also makes me really intrigued to think about what kind of programming they'll have available and what their match structure might look like, what their storyline arcs might look like, really what kind of show they'll be running on TNT in the fall that we'll get to see.
Yeah, me too. I definitely what the theme, what AEW is going to be, what the product is going to be, is going to, it's going to be very important, especially when they're getting a piece of ad revenue. From what I understand, how the deal works, they never said how long, but TNT is going to pay for production costs for the shows, and then they're going to do an ad revenue split. What that means is making the product advertiser friendly is very important as far as, to make more money. So they're going to do everything they can to put on entertaining shows every week so that we all, they get more advertisers and that number goes up. Ratings is going to be very important to the show. Looking, like I said, I'm looking forward to how they're going to present it. I am looking forward to, Shaq and Charles Barkley talking about wrestling.
That is such a crazy merge of worlds. So when we saw the Warner Media Upfronts event, they had pictures of the Elite with Daniel Radcliffe. That's crazy. You've got Harry Potter with the Elite. You got Steve Buscemi. You've got Shaq, Charles Barkley, all of these people with AEW. I mean, that really gave just this huge, momentous impact as to how significant this is. And also, you were talking about production costs. That's another huge deal. Raw and SmackDown cost about $1 million per episode for them to produce. Now, and they pay for that. I don't imagine that AEW is going to be running those kinds of numbers, but having those fees taken care of is a significant weight off of their shoulders where they can focus on creating their show. They can focus on, whatever it is that they're going to do that makes it advertiser friendly, that makes it something that they can stick with and that TNT is happy with sticking with for the long run. This is obviously something that's going to be very important to all parties involved. It kind of feels like the spirit of Double or Nothing itself. Everybody's taking a gamble on the future of what they want to build and the path that they believe in. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, and I mean, the things I've heard is Tony was selling this a year before that, a year ago, before All In even happened. He was selling the idea of this wrestling company, and every person that he said he was going to sign, apparently he told TNT, every person that he said he signed, he's signed. Everyone that he's promised, he's delivered on. So that is amazing. And then it continues with the idea that AEW delivers on every promise that they've made. I kept hearing that this was going to be the largest TV deal that anybody outside of WWE has gotten in history. If you take production costs for a show that's going to record at least, I'd say 46 to 52 weeks a year, if it's going to do that in a year, and an ad revenue split, you're talking a lot of money a year. TNT is gambling on AEW as much as AEW is gambling on themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And
prime time? Man, that's amazing.
Right. That is incredible, right? We're going to be able to watch this with ease all the time. And I really think that this is something where, yes, there's a lot to believe in. Yes, there's a lot to be passionate about. But clearly there's also a lot to be hyper-focused about in a boardroom with corporate committees. This is something that they are going to be smart about. And I have no doubt that Tony Khan at the helm of this, with the people who are driving the ship, with the Elite and the people that they've brought in all together, to move this forward are going to have that focus to make it something that hits all of those marks, that makes it something great for fans to watch, that keeps up that community spirit that they've been building so far, but also importantly is something that investors and advertisers are going to be happy and want to participate in, that they're going to want to be a part of this, that they're going to see something viable there. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing that they're going to have to focus on, because they already have the love of the community. We're already there. We're already selling out shows with them. Now they've got to deliver for their investors while also making something that keeps their fans happy. And I do love that the initial spirit of it has been something that is gracious to the fans, them reaching out and saying thank you. That's something that we don't get from a lot of other promotions. And also looking at how just the small bits of information that they've given as far as how they want to structure the shows. One of the interesting things that I read was that Tony Khan and Jericho and the Young Bucks, they all were talking about how focus on ring work was going to be something that they really wanted to do. Less soap opera, still with storylines, but a lot of focuses on the ring work itself, and how they appreciated, the camera angles and shooting styles of places like New Japan, which has consistently blown us away with their cinematic styles of shooting for their cameras in their rings. So I'm really interested in seeing how that ends up translating to what their shows look like. I think we'll probably get a good example of that with Double or Nothing.
Yeah, my Double or Nothing. It, to me, as big as it was, it's with this, it is so much larger, because there are going to be people buying Double or Nothing to just, as a testing the waters. So it's going to be very important for the show to, blow the roof off, to bring people in to say, this is what our product is going to be. I've just seen so much information about what they're going to focus on, and it's all been consistent. It's going, sports centric, analytics. They're going to talk about numbers, wins and losses is going to matter. Those are going to be big things, as far as, because the way they're talking about presenting AEW is a way I've never seen wrestling presented before, which is crazy, because I've been kind of under the focus that wins and losses don't really matter all that much. I've been told that a guy can lose next week, or just an example, Jinder Mahal, who was a complete loser, ended up winning the WWE title. And I was told that should make sense to me. And what this is going to tell me is that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, because they're going to be, fans are going to hold them to what they're saying. It's like, I am like, if you have a guy that comes out of nowhere or anything like that, and it's not really explained storyline or in a way people can buy, they're going to get called out. That's the power of Twitter and Instagram. So they're setting themselves up for a standard, and they're going to, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to hit it. But I'm just saying, they're putting themselves to a standard now that they're going to have to live up to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works, both at Double or Nothing, because you're absolutely right. There are people who are going to go and enjoy themselves regardless. And there are people who are excited about checking it out, and, they're going to watch it. And there are people who are really going to use this as a litmus test for what they want to see in AEW, and whether AEW is something that they want to continue seeing. And, they absolutely recognize that. They've talked about that in their Road to Double or Nothing shows, that Double or Nothing is their send-off. You only get one chance to make a first impression. So this is that time for them. And I'm really excited to see how they do that.
But, man, TNT, I just really want to talk TNT. Nitro. I grew up, the Monday Night Wars, the Wrestling Wars come from Nitro, and it was everything to me. That first night when Lex Luger showed up and Jushin Thunder Liger and, all the cruiserweights that ended up debuting, the NWO, Goldberg, DDP. It was just like watching TNT on Monday nights, watching wrestling on TNT on Monday nights was a part of my formative years, part of my teen years. It was big. And it was like so big, and what people don't understand, so a lot of wrestling fans don't understand, it was so big back then, you couldn't watch it. You could not watch it because everybody was going to be talking about it Tuesday morning. It was just like Tuesday morning, homeroom, cafeteria, whatever, everybody was going to be talking about it. So if you somehow missed it, yeah, there was no spoiler alerts. There was no 24-hour rule. You had to come prepared to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that they are definitely keeping this in mind too. You can't ignore the lineage there. You can't ignore the connection there. There's a lot of excitement there. Even the TNT announcement had the Nitro Flames in the background of AEW. I don't think that was on accident, of course. There's a lot of excitement and nostalgia for people who did watch WCW regularly that's wrapped up in that. And I think that that's a really interesting and wonderful piece of that puzzle. I think some people want to try to use it to be like, oh, this is just like WCW or whatever. The difference is here is that, Turner doesn't own AEW. This isn't them deciding to get into the wrestling business. They are getting into the wrestling business, but through a completely separate entity with AEW. So this is going to be something that builds off of that excitement, builds off of those memories, builds off of that nostalgia. One of the things that I loved was Tony Khan talking about people having sleepovers to watch pay-per-views and having, these sort of get-togethers. And that's how it used to be for us. We would go have pizza parties with our friends and we would call everybody up and we would pitch in for pay-per-views, or we would, crowd around the TV to watch a big event. I think that's something to celebrate, to have that connectivity together, that excitement around wrestling.
Yeah, during the height of everything, that's what it was for me. I would go over to my brother's house, and he'd have all his friends over, and we'd watch either the WCW or WWF pay-per-views. I remember when I did something wrong, how my parents kept me in line was I wasn't going to get to go watch wrestling. That's how big it was. And that was like life shattering to me. I would have given up the phone. I would have given up the dial up internet. I would have given up anything. Just let me go watch the wrestling pay-per-view, because it was essential that you knew about it, because people were going to be talking about it in school. It was like, I was a longtime wrestling fan. So I wouldn't say it made me cool, but it made me part of like every conversation when wrestling got hot. Things like, yeah, Floyd's been watching wrestling forever. So it was just, it was a bit of acceptance for me in high school. Wrestling becoming really, really popular right when I was in my 4 years of high school really worked out for me.
That's awesome. I hope that's the experience that other people have too.
Yeah.
I remember going into work and, having my paychecks and then going, okay, so I'm going to partition this much out, for bills and everything. And then, when you're first striking out on your own, like you've got rent and all of these things are like a serious concern. And so I would partition money out. We would pitch in for, WrestleMania pay-per-views or other WWF pay-per-views. And we would all go in on it together. We would all get pizza, and it became a thing. And it was just so fun to celebrate that, because it's not like you could have it on instant replay the next morning. There was no YouTube to catch clips of it. No Twitter or, Reddit or anything like that. It was, you saw it or you didn't. Yeah, and being able to have something that was so important that you saw it is something that really seems like they are building that feeling with this. They did it with All In, where it felt like you had to be there. And there was a serious case of, fear of missing out for people who couldn't go, like me. And now, with Double or Nothing, we got to experience All In with the people on the ground by watching it on stream. And the same thing is going to happen with Double or Nothing. And it really does feel like that sort of event where you have to celebrate it together. And I love that.
Absolutely. The amount of friends, just from the time, the Bullet Club and, when Cody joined and it just started really elevating, the amount of friends I've made because of the Bullet Club, now the Elite, now AEW, it's crazy. It's this big community of rabid fans that you have. It was like as soon as they announced TNT, I had friends messaging me, "We're going to the first live taping, or the first live show, right?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, we're going to the first live show." And it's like they come directly to me, like, "We're going to make this happen," because they know drive, fly, whatever it takes, I'm going to be at that first live show. And so many of my friends want to be there. So many people are planning on having wrestling parties at their house for that first night. And it's going to be on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, whatever day that's going to, whatever day they pick, it's going to be an event.
Man, this is such an exciting time to be able to catch this. So this week, they did announce that they had ways for people to watch Double or Nothing, right?
Okay.
So they announced their pay-per-view platforms. They will have Double or Nothing available on DirecTV and on Bleacher Report's BR Live in the United States. That will be airing for $49.99. And actually, no, I'm sorry. So in the United States, it will be on DirecTV and BR Bleacher Report Live, Fight TV internationally for $49.99, and ITV5 in the UK for about $20. I think it was £15 or something like that.
Yes.
So this was really interesting. One of the things that we've been seeing is, of course, people wanting to know how they could watch Double or Nothing. And this has been, happening since they announced Double or Nothing. People wanted to know how they could watch it. How could they watch it? How can they watch it? And this has been asked repeatedly. Now that they've announced the partnership with TNT, it makes sense that they had to wait. They couldn't necessarily announce that they were going to be streaming it on BR Live, which is owned by TNT, until they could announce that they were working with TNT. Now it looks like they've got a structure for global viewership. And they've also talked about broadening their pay-per-view systems in the UK as well. I don't think we have further information on that, but Tony Khan has said that he's interested in doing that. So now that fans know how they can watch it, one of the things that they've been talking about is there's been a reaction to that. Some people are really excited. Some people aren't as excited. What do you think about the pricing that they have for the pay-per-views? Do you think that it stacks up to traditional pay-per-view pricing? Do you think that there's room for a conversation for future streaming services that might cut that price down? What do you think about this?
So many things are going through my head on this. When it comes to this, I want to try to be clear and not spend too much time on each point. First of all, it's great that everyone will have access to it. If you have cable and you have access to pay-per-view, you can watch it on your TV. If you only have like the internet or your cord cutter, you can go to BR Live and have access to it. Internationally, you have Fight TV, and then in the UK, it's ITV. So I want to make sure, I want to start there. That's great. That fact that you have access. The $49.99 price point is not a problem for me. And it wasn't going to ever be a problem for me, Me and my friend Jason, I mention him on the show quite often. Jason's a casual wrestling fan. So I like to use Jason as my point of conversation, as he thinks differently than me. Since I am a hardcore fan, they could have put a $79.99 price on this. Even though I'm going to be there, I would still buy it at home. So there wasn't going to be a number that was going to be too much for me because I am a hardcore wrestling fan. I feel like out of the 100% of their audience, I fit into the 20% of the people that were going to buy it no matter what. Then there's another 20% of the people that were never going to buy it. They are the internet people. They're going to find a stream. The thing could have been $5 and they would have still found a stream. They don't pay for pay-per-view. People forget that those people exist. They're going to find alternate ways to watch it or not watch it at all. So what this $49.99 represents is this trying to get that 60% of people where my friend Jason, the casual fan, he fits in there. He says because of Jericho, right? Because of the Elite, because of Dustin Rhodes, because he has name familiarity, it seems like it's worth $49.99 to him, and he's probably going to buy it. But then I have other friends that, the $49.99 price tag is it's just too high. They're like, well, it's 20 or it's 30 or whatever. I don't think it's like, if you compare it to other pay-per-view, premium pay-per-view things, I'm talking ROH, Impact, UFC to a lesser extent, boxing to a lesser extent, it's right in that value. It's not boxing and UFC high, but it's also not Impact and ROH low. So it's right there. If you want to watch it, I think it's going to be worth the money. But like I said, I could see how that price point can cause some people to balk.
Yeah, I agree. I think, with ROH and Impact, their pay-per-views run about 30, maybe 29 to 35. And I've seen, obviously, WWE with their individuals can run as high as 90. Impact can be 35, 40 on occasion. All in last year was $40 on Fight. Now, Fight did have credits that were very easy to access, which cut that price down. And of course, when we talk about WWE individual standalone prices being $60 to $90, nobody's really going to pay $60 to $90. They're going to spend $10 to sign up for the network and then get to watch it for free. So it'll be interesting to see as they go forward with TNT, with their shows, with their pay-per-views, if they do end up utilizing a sort of streaming service network or offer rewards to sort of cut the prices down. I'm not sure. I do know that the price for it's $10 higher than All In was last year. I don't see that as a deal breaker, but I am in that position where I would buy it regardless.
Yes.
And I remember so fondly, as we were just talking about, of having to buy pay-per-views to go watch with our friends and, have that experience. I also do recognize that our culture is a little different now. We're used to sort of picking and choosing what sort of features we want to have with our entertainment. We're used to paying $10 a month for Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming packages there are out there. So I can understand that. I also think that one of the things that I've seen as a narrative that I really think it's important that we talk about is I've seen people discussing how can AEW do this? How can they price it so high when they've all talked about making things accessible for the fans? And I don't think that this was AEW's pricing. I don't think that in the UK with ITV that was their pricing. I think that the networks are the ones who set that pricing. And I think that in the UK, one of the things that I've heard is that they have a smaller market for people who will purchase pay-per-views for things like wrestling in the UK. So if they're testing the market with a lower price point to see what that reach can be, that makes sense. They're not going to price something at $50 for something that's going to air at 1 a.m. if they're not going to have a huge amount of people buying into it. The US, on the other hand, has a significant proven ground of people who will buy pay-per-views, who will buy into those streaming services for that. So they are setting the prices at a different rate, and that's not AEW setting the price. So I definitely want to clear that up because that's something that I keep seeing is how can AEW do this? That's part of the deal with the people that they are working with. It's them setting the prices, not Matt, Nick, Cody, Tony Khan, etc.
Yes, what most people don't realize is that AEW has very little power as a startup company. They are really, really kind of victim to, not even victim, they have to go with what the cable company set. They can't say we can take our ball to go home because there is no home to go to. WWE said when they lowered their price to $9.99, they basically said screw the cable companies, because WWE was a big enough name and a big enough product that they didn't need the cable companies. AEW needs the cable companies. So they go and the cable company looks at everything. They looked at probably buy rates for All In. They probably looked at YouTube people for BTE and Double or Nothing. They said, how many people can we get? What is the number that we can set that the most people will pay? And they're, 40, 50,000 buys or whatever. And they feel like people that do this for a living, and they based it on ROH, Impact, and all that, said, this is a price point that people will pay. I even had a friend in our group that said if they had marked it at $19.99, he would have saw it, thought it was cheap, and probably decided not to purchase it.
That's interesting. I was wondering about that as well. If you price it too low, people don't think that it's really going to be worth anything, or it's going to be a kind of, cheesy sort of mock-up thing. If you price it way too high, then, there's a point at which people will balk at things. I think the reality is that you have to decide, and this is for people who aren't in monetary constraints, which is a separate situation. But for people who are just doing it on principle alone, if they're balking at the price, I think we're at a point where we can look at this and go, is this something that I want to see take off? Is this something that I want to support? Do I want to kick off $50 to see however, long Double or Nothing is going to set out to be? They've got a stacked card. They've got incredible matches lined out. They've got some surprises in store. Of course, there's the experience of watching it and being a part of this, significant moment. I think that's worth $50 to be a part of, personally. And I think that if, this is something that you want to support and buy into, then you can do that by supporting the pay-per-views, buying the pay-per-views, and supporting the company that's trying to get off. One of the other situations that, if they did end up undercutting the prices so much to their shows, they still have to be profitable.
Yes.
That's how this has to work, not just for TNT or, for AEW, for all of it. They have to be profitable. They have to be something that is successful for market investors, for their own analytics. That has to be something that is proven. And I think that, paying for the pay-per-view to support that is something that is important to do, especially if you want to watch it. Yep. If you're excited about it, great. If you're not going to watch it anyway, if you're, going to stream it, or if you're just complaining about the price because it's another thing that you can add to the AEW list of complaints for the t-shirt company, that I don't think counts. I think what does matter is the fan base. I think that there is a legitimate situation there to look at, especially in terms of streaming culture that we have right now. But I also think that there's an argument that it's worth paying for, that it's worth buying into, that it's worth supporting, and that it's worth being a part of.
I want to just throw this out there for people. If you're a person that was a WWE fan and you're a lapsed fan and you want an alternative to wrestling, buy this show, because they need your support. If you're a WWE fan that wants the product to get better, buy this show. Because once WWE sees them as a threat, we see what WWE does when they had competition. It was called the Attitude Era. So buy this show. If you don't care if wrestling is successful, you weren't buying the show anyway. So enjoy whatever. I don't understand. Like, it's some people out there that just they want to get online and bitch, and I don't get it. I mean, there's in the world, there is so much that you could be complaining about. Why are you complaining about the price tag on the pay-per-view of a show you were never going to buy?
This is true.
I don't know. Pick something else. I'm not making this political, but there's a shit ton of stuff that you can bitch about right now. I promise you. $49.99 for a pay-per-view. You're either going to pay it or you're not. I want you to pay for it. I want you to support AEW. I'm a part of an AEW podcast. I want them to be as successful as possible. But competition, a competition is going to breed a better product all around. If you are a WWE fan and you just want WWE to get better, drop the $49.99. Because once these numbers start coming out and they start being impressive, and the WWE, aka Vince, acknowledges it, their product will get better. I promise you. Because it's proven. It happens every time the WWE thinks of someone as competition. I'm just saying, be selfish. Selfish reasons. Don't even think about AEW. Think about yourself and watching your Monday and Tuesday night programming or Monday and Friday night programming when it comes to the fall. You want it to be better, drop the $49.99 if you can afford it. I'm not trying to tell anybody to go into debt or skip meals or not feed their family. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. I get it. But if you got it and it's some kind of principle thing, I guarantee you, if you support it, it'll end up working out for you in the end, because I guarantee you're going to enjoy the show. I mean, if you go in and decide you're not going to enjoy the show no matter what, can't do anything for you. But these guys have their hands on what is entertaining in wrestling. They know how to entertain you in this avenue. So the $49.99 will be worth it. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I love your argument of if you're a WWE fan and you just want to just see it get better, this is worth it. Because how many times have we sat there and gone, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't make sense. Vince does remarkably well with competition. If there's one thing Vince is, it is excessively, extraordinarily competitive. He competes with his own body's ability to sneeze, to control a sneeze. This dude is competitive to his core. And when he had competition with WCW, WWF thrived. It was incredible. We look back fondly on some of the best years in wrestling because of that competition. It drove them into new territory. It drove them to get better. And that's one of the great things about AEW is that AEW on its own, I think, is amazing. I mean, you've got some of the best wrestlers, the most creative storytellers, the most charismatic people in the ring putting this promotion together. It's going to be incredible. But then you've also got that driving what could also promote WWE into doing something better and also becoming incredible. And that's a win-win for everybody. But as for AEW itself, I mean, we're looking at this card. We've got people like Kenny Omega versus Jericho as the main event. You've got Hangman Page versus Pac. How many people have been chomping at the bits to see Pac while he was, stuck at home, stagnant at the end of his contract? This is awesome. We have an awesome show with Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes battling for lineage, battling with their brotherhood, battling their family history, battling their inner demons, battling for the Attitude Era and the New Era. This is a huge climactic storyline that we're going to get to see play out, not to mention the pomp and circumstance of entertainment itself. With the costuming, with the light displays, with pyro, all the pyro at MGM Grand in Vegas. It is going to be an amazing show itself, a pinnacle of entertainment. I look at things like Wrestle Kingdom. For me, that's my top tier wrestling show. It's New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom. That's incredible. And these guys have been in every aspect of the wrestling industry and are taking the best of what they know from every promotion, every style, and every show, and putting it together to create something magical. And that in itself is something that you don't want to miss out on.
You think about it. Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania, ROH Final Battle, the biggest shows in the world. There's a person on this card that has been on those shows. There's people on this card like Chris Jericho who's basically been on all of those shows. Cody Rhodes was in all of those shows in like a year. You know, you look at the Young Bucks, Wrestle Kingdom every year for 5 or 6 years. You know, they have been to the big league. They have been to the big dance. They understand what it is to compete on a big show. Then you're going to get some people that, you know, that a lot of the audience aren't aware of. You know, some of the new audience is going to get to learn. I'm very convinced that once the world sees Pentagon and Ray Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers, I am convinced that is going to spark a new brand of wrestling fan. Just because those dudes are amazing. They put on, wherever they go, they put on the match of the night. You're going to get people like Sammy Guevara. Good Lord, he's magic in the ring, you know? And it's just like you're going to be getting introduced to these people, some of these people, for the first time. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose. I just want to be like, you know, just like I want to say, you will be entertained. If you watch this show for 3 hours and you say, there was nothing on this show that entertained me, I will be shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Shocked. I mean, I had this idea that when I thought it was going to be on Fight TV, the goal was to give away fight credits so you could buy the show. Unfortunately, they did announce the show a little late for me, so I wasn't able to really do anything. I will try to do something for one of the next shows, but it's one of the only thing I can say is you will, if you like wrestling, you will find something entertaining about this show because they have their finger there. They understand, but there's so many new people. Hangman Page, he's known in the wrestling world, but he's not known by some of the casuals that outside the wrestling world. You're going to see how athletic he is. You're going to get to see Neville and Pac as the character he wants you to see. You know, he's not wearing a cape. He's not a Mighty Mouse character. He is the character that you want him. He wants you to see, and he is phenomenal. It is just, I can't do more to sell you on Double or Nothing if you have liked wrestling. If wrestling is not something you've ever watched before, I would love to take you to a show and introduce you to everything that has to do with it. But I'm talking to the lapsed fans. I'm talking to the people that are a little frustrated with what's currently presented to them. This is something new. Take it. Ground level. You know, you might like it. You might not, but I'm willing to bet you're going to like it.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you liked Lucha Underground,
WWF,
God. New Japan, ROH,
yes.
Impact. Basically, if you've liked any wrestling promotion in the last few years, there's something you're going to like here.
Yes, and it's sports-centric. It's athletic. They are going to do everything they can to entertain you as much as they can. And it's just like, there are going to be names that you know. And it's just like, people will like you to think that this is not the big leagues, but these are very much the big leagues of wrestlers. I mean, there are wrestlers that have performed in front of hundreds of thousands of people. If you count Chris Jericho, good Lord, how many people he's performed in front of. It's just, take it in. These are the masters of their craft. Enjoy.
Absolutely, man. And, you said that people think that this isn't the big leagues and that, no, it actually is. I mean, when you look at TNT, that's the big leagues. If you look at Bleacher Report, that's the big league. I mean, we've got the ability to watch this. I was looking at Bleacher Report and BR Live today, and it's like you could watch it on your desktop. You've got iTunes, Google Play, Android, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. I mean, that's everywhere. Everywhere that you have the ability to watch something, you'll be able to watch this. Yeah. And all around the world. And that's incredible. That's wonderful. So anybody around the world, we're going to be sharing this together. It's going to be amazing. And I do understand the the difference in culture that we have now with streaming platforms and subscription services, and maybe at some point AEW will get there. Right now they're going to have their first official show, and they are gambling on it. They are betting on themselves. TNT is betting on them. Bleacher Report is betting on them. ITV is betting on them. I'm going to bet on them too.
Yes. And I think that show's going to be packed. I think we're going to be running into people in Vegas that doesn't know that the show's going on. You're going to tell them, and they're going to try to get tickets. And it's just going to be just this great experience and great time. And if you can't be there live, of course be there watching it on TV and talking about it and being on Twitter. Hashtag double or nothing, hashtag AEW, whatever you want to do, just, understand, be a part of this experience, because that's what it's going to be.
It is going to be an experience for sure.
Yes. Like I said, it's just like, I know it comes off as, you're just rooting for AEW. I'm just like, I'm rooting for good wrestling. I am rooting for good wrestling. Me personally, I don't like to see people fail. It's not something I root for. Never been that kind of guy. I want everybody to succeed. And feeling like, as a fan of the Bullet Club, that the Bullet Club brought me to New Japan. The Bullet Club brought me back to ROH. It brought me back to a whole lot of wrestling that I wouldn't have seen if they didn't exist. So they brought me back to that. Then they brought All In, and I said Starrcast and All In, best wrestling weekend I've ever had. And then now they're introducing this new wrestling company. And like I said, if Double or Nothing is half as good as All In, it would be worth it to me. Because like I said, All In was the best wrestling experience that I've ever had. And you just imagine that. They've had that time, and now they're going to add more production than the Double or Nothing into MGM Grand, like a big time venue. Come on. If you're being honest with yourself, it's going to be entertaining.
Man, I'm so excited for the show. So when we look at Double or Nothing, we have an insanely packed card for the show, and I know we've alluded to it. Let's take a look at what happened this week on Being the Elite and see what matches they've announced before we start running down to the card, because I believe that they've had some awesome build-ups for Double or Nothing. Of course, we've got Matt and Nick training and getting rid of their ring rust. We've got some matches announced. Why don't we run down with a quick recap of Being the Elite, and then we can get into the match cards of Double or Nothing to see what we all have to look forward to. Okay,
so Being the Elite loves to troll our lovely friends at the WWE. So that's what this segment started off with. It started off with Peter Avalon coming up to the Bucks and basically complaining about the two librarian thing. And he's like, I don't know if I want this. And then he asked for his release. And in the most tongue-in-cheek, oh my God, it was a great way. The Jacksons threatened to send him home, to pay him anyway, to heal up and spend time with his family. And it was the way they did it. They did it in a threatening way. Like they threatening him with getting paid not to work. They threatened him with getting healthy. They threatened to give him with, spending time with family. And the way Avalon played it off is like, this was the worst possible thing you could threaten him with. And he's like, okay. I'll be your librarian. I'll be one of your librarians. I'll do the best that I can. It was hilarious because honestly, that's what the WWE does. When you don't want to work for them anymore, they send you home and pay you. And apparently that's supposed to be bad. I don't know. I like working, but I like working, don't get me wrong, but my job said, hey, we're going to pay you not to work. Don't think I would argue with them that much. And be like, okay, all right, let me do that.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And MJF was in the next segment. They were hanging out in the pool, looking like it was at Cody's house, and he called him the roller coaster. The roller coaster. Oh my God! When I see him next week, that is all I'm referring to him as, roller coaster. I was like, I would have never even thought of that. What is that? No. But that was hilarious. Then we get Nick and Matt. They're talking to Brandon Cutler, talking about the casino battle royale, and he has him draw a card, and he says, "Don't tell me what it is." Brandon draws the card, and he's like, "Well, tell me what it is." He's like, "You literally just told me not to tell you what it is," and he's like, "Well, we hope." He was like, "We hope you didn't get the Joker because a lot of fans would be really upset." And he called him a dick because I was like, "It's funny because it's true." Everybody I know that cares has been, all we've been talking about is who's going to be the Joker, who's going to be 21, because we figure it's got to be this amazing big name. So, yeah, love Brandon Cutler, love his story. But yeah, if he's 21, I might get a little depressed about that. Hey, no shout out. Hey, love you, Brandon. I bought one of your meet and greets today. Can't wait to meet you. So don't take it as a shot. It's just, you're not the 21 that anybody is expecting. Or, they're expecting. We'll talk about that later. But then we get a segment where they announced a new tag team coming to AEW, and Helico and Jack Evans. Now, I've heard people say they're not the biggest fans of Angelico. I think he's freaking amazing. I mean, I love Angelico. My only experiences with him was the Super Strong Style 16. I think I saw him work for 3 days. Maybe it's people that have seen him work 100 times and they're like, oh, he does the same thing. I don't know. I've only seen him work 3 times. He's amazing. And Jack Evans does things that most men shouldn't be able to do. I mean, athletically, he's right there with Will Ospreay. And I understand what I'm saying, especially to you, Mrs. New Japan Wrestling there. Saying someone's on the athletic level of Ospreay is it's like saying a basketball player can play like Jordan. But he's a freakish athlete, and Jack Evans has been doing it a long time. They're on Lucha Underground, so we get a nice little introduction to them. And is AEW ready? And they are introduced as a tag team, which I think is great. The AEW is really separating the singles wrestlers from the tag team wrestlers. They are 2 separate divisions, which is awesome. Then the next segment, we get SCU doing something like The Voice or America's Got Talent, where people are trying out for them. They eventually decide on these Asian guys that say they're Shanghai China University, and they basically do a SCU skit about Shanghai, and it ends up being exactly what they want. And of course, the SCU guys pick SCU. They did this funny thing where they only had one pair of glasses, and so Scorpio took them off and did a wow, and then he handed them Kazarian, he puts them on, takes them off, and does a wow, and then he hands us the CD. I just thought that was crazy funny. And then we're back at bar wrestling, what you talked about. Nick and Matt are in the ring, and Matt wants Joey Ryan, or Matt wants Nick to record this move he's going to try to debut against the Lucha Bros. You see Brandon Cutler selling his neck on the ground, but Nick had started recording something Joey Ryan was showing, so he completely missed the move. We then get it's the week of the Full Gear Challenge. We get Hangman Page working out, doing some pull-ups. He wasn't running in the boots this week, so that was a little upsetting, but he was drinking all of Michael's secret stuff, and he was lifting weights. They showed him pulling a semi-truck. Matt's like, yes, and then he gets pumped up, and Hangman cuts a promo on Pac saying he's coming to get him, And then you see all these pictures of Hangman with Michael's secret stuff, which is kind of like steroids because apparently he is unnecessarily angry about things, which is hilarious because, Hangman, he has to find that next level of anger. So I'm looking forward to I'm kind of wondering how that's going to pay off at the show. I'm really, really wondering what they're going to do to pay that off because, he's getting jacked up. Then next segment at Bar Wrestling, the Young Bucks come out. They kind of tease the fact that they're about to sign Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan says he's looking at a lot of different contracts. And the Young Bucks like, well, this is embarrassing. We didn't come here to sign you. And then they signed Rick Knox. And they basically put over that they're in a place in their life where they can find people that have been talented and they've hardworking and they've seen over the years that they can get paid to do this for a living. They can drop their secondary job. So it looks like Rick Knox. And Rick Knox got really emotional here because apparently he's been doing this forever. And now he's a full-time official for AEW. Bar Wrestling went crazy about that. And I am very excited for him just because it's a name. Like, even when I wasn't watching indie wrestling, it's a name I heard, So the fact that I didn't know, I thought that was his only job. And to find out he gets to quit his day gig and just ref is great. Then we get the new BTE mailbag special. Mailbag info, and then they asked who came up with the name AEW, and he said it was a collective. We found out that the first two names were World's Best Wrestling and World Elite Wrestling. And they said they wanted to get the All In brand and the Elite brand in there, so they decided on All Elite Wrestling. So they just said that was a collective group effort. But just imagine if we were going to see a World's Best Wrestling show. That would be interesting. Kenny Omega lets us know that he is going to have new music. He decided it's the new AEW, new brand, so he should come with new music. So he's working on a secret project to get some new music out there. It does look like he's hinting it's going to be video game themed. And then Hangman gets a question about he needs naming a beer for Double or Nothing, and he said he suggested was the Full Beer Challenge, which I Full Beer IPA, or I really like that. I really liked it. I was like, dude, that's the one you should stick to it. But Hangman was putting over the fact that he can't have a beer, but after the show he'll have one. So save him one for after the show. And then Kenny thanks everybody for sending in their questions. And then he announces a match. It is going to be a 6-woman tag team match. We're going to have on one side Aja Kong, the legend, Joshi legend Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura. That's going to be against Hikaru Shida, Ryo Abe, and Ryo Mizunami. So a lot of people are saying that Joshi Wrestling is going to be to AEW what the Cruiserweight division was to WCW. So I'm very excited because I think out of these people, I've seen Aja Kong wrestle. And the rest will be brand new to me. So I'm looking forward to a 6-women's match. So you will have your second women's match of the night. And that is awesome there. Then we get the Young Bucks trying to call someone. And he's like, well, let's get Trent on the phone. And they finally get Trent. Trent answers. He's sitting at his desk in shame. And they said, and then they have their kids in the background. And they said, remember what y'all threatened today? And he's like, I didn't threaten him. It was Chucky. You saw I pushed him because we're not supposed to threaten your family. And they said, and he's like, what's this all about? What kind of action do you want? And he's like, we want some tag team action. So they put up the promo that says, the best friends will be in tag team action. And he was like, I need something a little bit more specific than that. Who we're going to be facing. And they go through and they think and they put up, it will be the Best Friends versus the new tag team to AEW, which is, I guess all tag teams are new to AEW, and Helico and Jack Evans. So we're getting the Best Friends versus Helico and Jack Evans, which is going to be great. And then you see Trent super happy, hugging on his dog, and then he smokes a cigarette, and I believe that's the show. That's your quick recap of BTE, as quick as I can do it, because I am long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, that was great, man. One of the things that I loved about this episode of Being the Elite, I loved the names that they had. Can you imagine if we had WEW against WWE?
Yes. Yes. I imagine WWE would have tied them up in court for a very long time.
Yes, they would have. So I'm glad that they didn't go that route. AEW is great.
Yes.
I also really loved the profile that they had on Angelico and Jack Evans. Those two look like a legit polished star team. Yeah. I am so excited to see them. And when you equate one of them to Will Ospreay, and I know how big of a statement that is, I can't disagree with that. Only just from what I saw in the highlight reel that they showed on Being the Elite, they look like a phenomenal team. And I'm already familiar with the Best Friends from New Japan, of course. So I'm really excited to see that match because those two, Jack Evans and Angelico, they look like stars.
I don't know if Angelico did that recording himself or they sent someone out there, but he came off as such a badass, like with the motorcycle and just kind of the training, the imagery of it. It just, to me, he came off as like a badass from that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so now we've got the card so far for Double or Nothing. So the buy-in is the pre-show. This is what will be streaming for free on pay-per-view channels and on YouTube. This will feature the Casino Battle Royale and the match of Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara, which I'm really excited about seeing. I have become a huge Kip Sabian fan ever since the whole naming his moves after Harry Potter. And I love Sammy Guevara because he brings cake to everybody. And he's really good. Yeah. I've seen a couple of matches of his, and he is really athletic, really fun to watch, and he's quite charming. So it seems like they've got a great kind of face, kind of heel dynamic going on. I'm interested in seeing how they play that out, but honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm just there for some good wrestling. It's going to be great.
Yes, that I was going to say that. I'm very interested how it's going to play out. Is Sammy Guevara the kind of heel character going to play out, or is he going to be the misunderstood guy that everybody just kind of boos? And Kip Sabian, you know, he's actually, you know, played both characters. So it's like literally either one could be either one of the tropes. I know Cody's big on heels and faces not existing anymore, so they might both play a little bit of both, but I'm looking forward to this match. They're both Sammy's super athletic. I can't speak a lot to Kip. Not just I haven't seen him work. I've seen a lot of promos and stuff with that, and he seems like a very charismatic dude. But I've never seen him work, and so I've only seen like, you know, the finishers that he come up with. And the Harry Potter theme finishes is enough to get me behind him. So I am really looking forward to that match. I don't know, because when he came out to the opening event, Sammy Guevara was wearing his AAA light heavyweight or whatever title. So I wonder if he's going to bring that belt out too.
Oh, maybe. I know that they do have a partnership, so we may end up seeing a situation where that title ends up on the line somehow.
Yeah, and that would be interesting. Like I said, I actually am intrigued by both of these guys, so I'm looking forward to seeing them wrestle and meeting them both.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then the Casino Battle Royale, of course, we have a list of the participants. We don't know who the 21st person is going to be, who's going to draw that Joker. Maybe it's Brandon Cutler. Maybe it's somebody else. We don't know. Do you have any ideas on who that might be? They did tease that they would have some surprises when they were talking at Warner Media Upfronts event, that they have some surprises in store. And there was somebody on Twitter recently who said, now that it's official, he can say that the music that he's created for an as of yet unnamed wrestler will be featured at Double or Nothing. He wasn't able to name it, but people have done some detective work to figure out who that might be. Yeah. Do you have any ideas as to who it might be?
No, I do not. It's one of those, like 21, my speculation is Johnny Moxley. I've been on that one for a while. I just think him being the Joker kind of goes with his character. That'd be awesome. But, Sean Spears, a.k.a. Ty Dillinger, it would be great if he came out at 10. That would be awesome. But as far as the music, I am not been, unfortunately, when you sleep most of the day, there's subjects that you can miss on Twitter. So I've kind of completely missed this whole thing. So I don't know who it would be.
Okay, so the music thing, I don't remember the specific name of the band that this guy is in that created the music for it. CM Punk was recently wearing one of his band shirts. And I believe in the Instagram comments, he had talked about working with Jordan Grace. So one of those two people might be a possibility. Now, CM Punk, I have an interesting relationship with the idea of CM Punk. I love, watching CM Punk. He was before my time coming back into wrestling. So I enjoyed watching what I had seen of him. Of course, I saw the pipe bomb promo. But I know more about fans chanting CM Punk out of boredom than I do having experienced CM Punk. On the other hand, he's really exciting and he's a really interesting idea for coming into AEW. And Tony Khan did mention that CM Punk was high on his list of priorities well before he even talked to the Elite about forming AEW. So I think that might be somebody that there's a strong possibility of seeing at Double or Nothing, or if not there, perhaps at one of their other shows or when they have their TV deal kickoff in October.
I want to be clear. I would freak out if CM Punk showed up at Double or Nothing. In a positive way, I'd be happy. I'd be geeking out all the way. But if I'm them, if he's going to show up, if he's going to sign, if I am him, he shows up the first night of the live TV. I mean, that's the time to show up. You pop the number. You say, we're going to have a mysterious guest. You allude to Punk, and then you have him show up, because what that'll do is now you'll have, with the second week of TV, everybody knows anything can happen, and now everybody has to watch it. So I think him debuting at Double or Nothing would be great for us, but as far as TV, I think it would be best to debut that first night of live TV.
Yeah, who knows, man? All I know is they've talked about surprises. It's gonna be awesome.
I am 80% sure he's signed with AEW.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, he was there at All In. He wasn't at All In the arena. I mean, he was in the arena, I think, backstage, but he was affiliated with it in the sense that he was doing meet and greets and autograph signings at Starrcast. But I think that he is going to be somebody that is going to be a part of AEW. I believe, if I remember correctly, I may have read that he has an announcing gig that night.
Yeah.
So maybe not for Double or Nothing. Maybe it does end up being somebody else. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out. At the same time, I would be surprised in the sense of excitement, because everybody would lose their minds if he were to sign with them and come out, and that would be amazing. So I'm really interested in seeing who this 21st person is. I'm interested in seeing if it is Jon Moxley.
Dude.
Because how flipping cool would that be? I would lose my mind.
Yeah, and I feel like they need something like that. As big as this event's going to be, they need people to be buzzing about this show after it's over. This show could be its own sort of advertising. The people that watch it on pay-per-view, the people that are in the building can make this buzzworthy. And Jon Moxley, as much as most people expect it, everyone will be talking about it for the next 48 hours.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it would definitely launch them off into a situation where this is something that you absolutely can't miss. And if their pay-per-views cost $50 and you see a chance of Jon Moxley coming out or CM Punk coming out, hell yeah, you're going to pay that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so smart. It's just, I mean, as far as, like I said, it's what they're good at is building buzz. Yep. And they're going to use this as a chance to build buzz. So I'm looking forward to it.
But hey, could be Brandon Cutler too.
Hey, dude, if it's Brandon Cutler, just out of spite, I am going to go crazy for Brandon Cutler. I'm going to jump up and be yelling, and the person next to me is going to ask me to settle down. You can't be that big a Brandon Cutler fan.
They'd be like, no, dude, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, I'm so happy he's 21. Oh, dude, if he wins it, I will probably cry, because his story has been one of those ones that, you know, him in the sunny days is just their stories and how it was built out. It's just like, I actually, you know, it's like I care about every wrestler, but I care about them a little bit more.
Well, that's great. And you'll get to meet him, so that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the main card, Double or Nothing, right? This is what people are going to have on pay-per-view. This is what people are going to be seeing on ITV. This is what people are going to be seeing all around the world. And this will feature matches like you had mentioned, the 6-woman tag team match with Aja Kong, who is an absolute legend, Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura, Hikaru Shida, Riho and Ryu Mizunami. And these people, I'm familiar with 2 of them, Aja and Yuka. From what I understand, you know, the Joshi scene is just explosive with incredible talent as a beacon of what women's wrestling can be, and the power and prowess and athleticism and skill behind it to show the world. And Kenny has been wrapped up in the Joshi scene. That's what got him back into wrestling and intrigued about the idea of jumping and diving in full force into professional wrestling. Brandy has been involved in it. This is something that really feels like they're something that they've put a lot of care into, and they're putting a lot behind. And I think everyone's going to be dazzled by this match. If you don't know them now, you will for sure after Double or Nothing. Then we've got Hangman Page versus Pac, the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers for the AAA World Tag Team Championship to prove who really is the best tag team in the world. We've got SoCal Uncensored, SCU versus Shima, T-Hawk, and El Lindemann in a 6-man tag match. We've got SCU in the US, SCU from China. We've got the Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans in a tag team match that's going to be spectacular. Dr. Britt Baker versus Kylie Ray versus Nyla Rose in a triple threat women's match. This is also going to be awesome because we've got powerhouses, we've got beasts, we've got total adorable, baby faces. We've got prowess in the ring and skill, and it's going to be a really interesting match to see what kind of different styles are showcased in the women's division and what feuds and rivalries we can see going forth from that. And then we have Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes in a match of tearing down history and building something new out of what is left behind. And this, I think, is going to be a very emotional and very intense match for everyone in that arena and everyone watching on the screen, just because of how much history and depth is contained within these two men and their two stories and how they're tied together through the lineage of Dusty, through what they're trying to do as they push forward into a new world of wrestling, as they look behind them with the Attitude Era, which Cody has said that he is setting out to destroy. That is going to be incredible. And finally, the main event of Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. Alpha versus Omega. And for anyone who has watched Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, especially in New Japan, if you watched them in Wrestle Kingdom 12, you already know that this match could be one of intensity, brutality, explosive energy, and just a dynamic experience in the ring that you can't even believe is taking place right before your eyes. They do magic. They work incredible magic in the ring together. And I'm sure that our jaws will be to the floor as we're watching this by the end of this power-packed night. That said, Floyd, give me two matches that you're really, really looking forward to seeing. Obviously, this doesn't exclude the other matches. We're looking forward to all of them. But what are two that really stand out to you as something that you're really excited about seeing?
You know what? This is really hard because I am very excited about everything. But I'm going to go with the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. I am a huge fan of tag team wrestling. I mean, Arn Anderson's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So tag team wrestling means a lot to me. And when you talk about people that are putting the spotlight back on tag team wrestling and proving tag team wrestling can be in the main event, that is the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. I have seriously said over the last 2 years, out of my top 5 matches over the last 2 years, the Lucha Brothers and Pentagon are in 2 of my top 5 matches. So I just know what they can do. And then the Young Bucks are just what you're supposed to be as far as, they have brought tag team wrestling back to the forefront. So it's the battle of the best tag team in the world. I'm really looking forward to them doing what they do, and I just think it's going to be an athletic spectacle. And I just can't wait to see it. It's going to be hard-hitting. So that was the one. And then, of course, I am literally wearing a Cody Rhodes shirt, and staring at my couch, being prepared to be packed, is a Dustin Rhodes shirt. So that should tell everyone the other match I'm looking forward to is the Nightmare versus the Natural, the tagline, what would be considered the new generation versus the Attitude Era, brother versus brother. I have built this match up so much. I'm trying to temper my expectations because I imagine that ever since Cody decided he was going to be a wrestler, him and Dustin have been putting this match together. This is their dream match on the big stage. This is the story they want to tell, and I think they're going to put on an epic. And I know some people aren't the biggest Cody Rhodes fans. Some people don't think Dustin Rhodes is the greatest worker in the world. But these are two people that probably the first time Cody stepped in the ring, it was probably with his brother. I don't think I'm going too far to venture that guess, And so they've been putting this match together for so many years that it's going to be hard for it not to be a masterpiece, at least in my eyes, because I am emotionally invested in the match. How about you, Amy?
My first one is right there with you, man. It's Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes. I mean, looking at the history that they have as brothers, with the history that they have with their father, is so different. Dustin Rhodes has an experience with Dusty where Dusty is on the road all the time. Cody, on the other hand, actually got to spend time with his father because, they have such a vast difference in ages. They've worked together, they fought against each other in life and in the ring. And I think this is going to be a match that has so many layers and levels of depth, some of which we will be privy to, some of which will be battling demons amongst themselves with each other. They're going to lay it all out in the ring with respect, with admiration. And it's going to be really emotional. I think back to when we saw Cody walk out to fight Nick Aldis with Earl Hebner in the ring at All In, and just how emotional that was, how you could see the groundswell of that moment really hit him. The fans were chanting his name. This was a show that they had put on. He's fighting for his father's legacy, and in honor of that, and in memory of that, and in respect to that. And you could see it on his face, and I think we're going to get something very similar at Double or Nothing. It's going to be something where the emotion is inescapable, and it's going to be incredible. And I'm a sucker for emotive storytelling. That's my jam. On the other hand, I'm also really looking forward to the 6-woman tag match. Now, normally, multi-man tag team matches aren't necessarily my thing, but I think that in this case, we are going to get a real taste of the diversity of talent. We're going to get a taste of the Joshi wrestling scene as they want to bring it over to AEW. And I think that's going to be really awesome to see, just in the skill and athleticism and talent and speed of the women in the ring, and the power with Aja Kong. Just that diversity alone is going to be interesting. But I also think it's going to be interesting to see what that is going to represent going forward. And if we look at Double or Nothing as a showcase of what they can be and what they will be, I'm really interested in seeing how that match pays off. Do you have any dark horse matches that you think are really going to blow people away that maybe they might not be expecting as they look at the card?
Hangman and Pac. I just think, I don't know if it's going to be for the AEW title or how they're going to decide that, but Hangman is the lesser known of the elite. Out of all the elite, he's the up and comer, but they've been very clear that they kind of plan on building the company around him. So him and Pac, as that, pretty much, if you look at it, it's that third level singles match, really, as far as everybody's expectations to it. I think both are so athletic, and they are so versatile in how they can work, that I think a lot of people that will be new to this completely, like maybe they're tuning in to see Jericho, they're tuning in to see Dustin Rhodes, maybe they've heard of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, but Hangman is going to be the guy, one of the guys that leaves them with their impression.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome match. One of the things that I really like about Hangman is he does a beautiful shooting star press. He's great with his moonsaults. He's a guy that has a lot of heart. And my experience with him has been in New Japan. And during the G1 last year, which is a month-long tournament where matches matter, wins and losses matter, because they stack up towards a number at the end where the winner has a chance to challenge for the heavyweight title at their biggest show at Wrestle Kingdom. So it's a huge high-stakes thing. He really stood out during that month-long tournament as somebody who had improved so much in the ring. He's really strong. He really cares. He's a guy who can take pain and then build it up and then dish it out if he needs to. But he's a guy who really works the ring. He runs the ring. He's athletic in a surprising way, because he's a big guy. So it's going to be really fun watching these two guys battle it out. I can't wait to see that. I'm really curious about the Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans. I've really enjoyed watching the Best Friends. I'm curious to see if they'll have some of their storyline and character stuff play out in their match. And I'm really interested in seeing Angelico and Jack Evans. They look like absolute stars on Being the Elite, and I'm curious to see if that plays out in the Double or Nothing ring.
Yes, very excited for that match. Either honestly, this card, I don't see a bathroom break match for me personally.
No, not at all.
I don't see one. It's just going to be like drink and try to go to the restroom and be prepared to hold it for 3 hours.
I hope they have an intermission.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping there's a little break between when the Casino Battle Royale ends and, the actual main show begins.
Yeah, that would be good.
I'm hoping that's going to be the sprint to the bathroom area and then be prepared to sit down, because I literally want to see all of these matches in their entirety, move for move. I am 100% interested. I have not been into Joshi at all, My only experience with Joshi is Asuka, Kairi Hojo, them in the WWE. So I have not seen them work their style. You know what I mean? So this will be me. This will be my immersion into Joshi wrestling. And I've been told a lot that I should watch it, but as I state, there's only so many hours in the day, and I watch a lot of wrestling already.
Yeah, and we'll get a lot of wrestling wrapped up in this stage. You know, lots of different styles represented there.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be great. Okay, so we've got Double or Nothing covered. We've got the Casino Battle Royale covered. Let's talk about Starrcast real quick, because we are coming up next week is when all of this kicks off. We've got Starrcast kicking off, Double or Nothing kicking off, an experience of the lifetime kicking off. This is going to be incredible. And honestly, I think these types of shows are all going to be experiences of a lifetime, which is a pretty great thing to look forward to with a wrestling promotion and a weekend of thrills and adventure. So with that in mind, what are you most excited about doing in Starrcast? Because not only did you already have your meet and greets lined out and your itinerary planned, but you took advantage of a flash sale today in a quite spectacular way. So, what do you have that you are most looking forward to hitting up at Starrcast next week?
Okay. Biggest thing, one of the platinum events is Arn, in his own words. I think that's Friday at like 2:30. I definitely plan on being that. I'm a big Arn Anderson fan. That is huge. That's to me is a must. You have to be there for that. Of course, the roast of Ric Flair. We're all platinum. I think that's the big show Friday night that everyone's going to be at. I am really, really looking forward to that. As far as meet and greets, today I bought Jimmy Hart Superstars of Wrestling Breakfast Buffet, and that's going to be it's Caesars. It's going to be at Caesars from 8 to 10 on Saturday. So that's the day of the event. I am looking forward to eating with some wrestlers and meeting some people that way. But as far as my meet and greets, LAX is number one for me. I've actually been trying to meet them for a while. I saw them at the WrestleCon Super Show this year, but they didn't both do the meet and greet. So I'm very, very excited about meeting them. And Booker T. I've been a fan of Booker T for the pretty much the entirety of his career. And I saw him, from being Kane and Cole of the Harlem Heat when they first debuted, to being King Booker, to being an announcer that reminds you of how many times he's been champion. He is one of my favorite wrestlers and personalities, and his story of going from being in prison to the WWE Hall of Fame to being someone, that Vince trusts. He can go to these type of events because Vince knows he's coming on. And he's always good to fill in on Raw and on the panel. He just seems to be in that inner circle of wrestling. So I would always been intrigued to meet Booker T.
Man, that sounds like a really amazing lineup of things that you have to look forward to that are going to be really special and going to make some really wonderful memories for you looking back on this crazy weekend. I know I'm really looking forward to seeing, of course, the roast of Ric Flair. That is going to be absolutely legendary. The evening with Cody and the Bucks, that's going to be a wonderful way to kick off this adventure that they are putting forth. I'm really excited about that. I really wanted to catch Ron Funches, his comedy show, because I love Ron Funches, but that happens at the same time as Cody and the Bucks. So if for some inexplicable reason I'm not able to get in the door on that one, I'll go to Ron Funches, but I'm going to be there. So there's no way I'm not. I'm also, really looking forward to Papa Buck and Frankie Kazarian and kicking off the weekend with a nice show and music and dancing and drinking, and that's going to be great. The cosplay with Leva Bates. There's a karaoke thing happening. Like, I'm a sucker for drinking and karaoke. I love it. So that's going to be fun. Really, honestly, I'm just excited to go and immerse myself in the weekend of Starrcast. Just kind of play things by ear, go maybe see Talk is Jericho live, and really just be around all of these wonderful people who are so excited to just be a part of this, to be there, to go to all of these meet and greets. I want to hear the stories of people who've gone to meet and greets and met their favorite wrestlers and got to share moments with them. I'm just really happy to be there. And so that's what I'm really most looking forward to, is just being a part of it all.
Yes, I'm gonna have to go to the Jericho thing so I can thank Jericho publicly, because he needs that. He needs to thank you. So I'm gonna thank Jericho for entertaining me for all of these years. I can't wait to see Conrad hanging around so I can thank him again. I mean, I know some people don't like him, but hey, you know what? It takes a lot to do this. It's not easy. Organizing all these things. I mean, and it's like when anything bad happens, as far as the Undertaker situation happened, everybody's, crapping on him, and he's like, I had no control over it. And it's just like, when you're the promoter, when you're the face of something, you have to, you get the accolades, but anytime anything goes wrong, you have to take it. So the fact that he puts on these things to entertain the fans, I mean, like I said, it's like a lot of the stuff I didn't think would ever happen. Arn Anderson, never thought I'd get to see him just on a live mic, just telling the story of wrestling. He's probably going to tell about his separation from the WWE, and I am just looking forward to that because, like I said, he's like a person I love. When I was young, age myself because I am 37, the Horsemen were like, when I was in elementary school, the Horsemen were a thing. And, and Hulk Hogan was a thing. And then you hear people when they grew up and they'd be like, I want to be Hulk Hogan. And then, you have friends that I want to do Ric Flair. For me, when I was cosplaying, not paying attention, race wasn't the thing to me. I wanted to be a middle-aged white guy named Arn Anderson. That's who I wanted to be.
That is so wonderful and hilarious and adorable. That's fantastic.
That's who I wanted to be. I was like, I'm Arn Anderson. Somebody else can be Ric Flair. Because I was like, Arn Anderson was the toughest of the four, He was the enforcer. He had the cool nickname. He was like, generally when Ric Flair lost, it was because the enforcer wasn't there. You know what I was saying? It was like, that was the guy I wanted to be when I grew up. Like, hey, who did you want to be when you grow up? Yes, a young black guy from Oklahoma City, when he grew up, wanted to be a balding white guy named Arn Anderson.
That is amazing. I love that so much. And I really, not only do I love it because it's so cute, but I love that these are things that people get to experience. These are memories that people get to make for themselves going forward based on a lifetime of awe and wonder and excitement and thrills and really looking up to these people. And you get to meet them and you get to share something like this with them. That is incredible. And I think this is something that people are going to remember forever. Just like you remember everything from last year's Starrcast, you'll carry that with you for the rest of your life. And I think that's one of the best things about something like this is that this is literally creating magic and memories that people will take with them for the rest of their lives.
Yes, I do want to throw out something. It's kind of I saw this on Starrcast that people were going to try to sneak into events. I'm telling you right now, I see you trying to sneak in something, I'm snitching. I am snitching. I'm raising my hand like a little kid in the classroom. If you get the reference, you might not. I'm Horseshack. I'm like, ooh, he's sneaking in. I'm telling. Snitches get stitches. I don't care. Come at me, bro.
It's all good, man. There's a CVS right down the street. We'll get you taken care of for the head wound.
Dude, yeah, no. Hey, if you wanna go to things, be willing to pay for it. There's a price for things, and it sucks that if you can't afford it, or if it sucks if you don't want to afford it. But if you don't want to go, don't go. I hate to even address this, but it was just like I woke up and I saw Starrcast had tweeted it, and my eyes like, what? Now, not only who would do this, but who would be bold enough to tell people that they plan to do it?
Yep. Good luck, dudes.
Good luck, because I'm watching. You might as well call me honorary security. I'm snitching.
There you go. You got Bouncer Floyd on your case. All right. So we've got an exciting week ahead of us. We've got an exciting week of getting ready for a week that we will remember for the rest of our lives. It's going to be incredible with so much to look forward to. And we will catch you next time after Double or Nothing, where we'll get to talk about everything that went down, the matches, the triumphs, the pitfalls, the emotion, the heartache, and of course, the surprises that were in store. Wonder who they will be. So we will, of course, get to talk about that and memories of Starrcast next time when we return.
All right. For my wonderful, energetic, and super positive co-host, Amy, this is Floyd reminding you, whether if it's home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.